Genesis chapter 41. So after 2 years, Pharaoh had this dream, right? And he was standing by a river. And OMG, these 7 super cute, fat cows came out of the river and started grazing in the meadow. Then 7 totally ugly, skinny cows came out of the river too. And they stood next to the cute cows by the riverbank. And the skinny cows ate the fat cows. Crazy, right? And that's when Pharaoh woke up, totally freaked out. But then he went back to sleep and had another dream. This time, there were 7 full, awesome ears of corn on one stalk. And then 7 thin, shriveled ears of corn, totally wrecked by the east wind, grew up after them. And the thin ears of corn ate the full, good ones. And then Pharaoh woke up again, realizing it was all just a dream. So, the next morning, Pharaoh was super troubled. He called for all the magicians and wise dudes of Egypt and told them his dreams. But none of them could explain what it meant. Then the head butler was all, "Oh my gosh, I just remembered something I totally forgot." He said, "Pharaoh was mad at me and the baker and put us in prison, remember? We both had dreams one night, and each of our dreams had its own meaning. And this young Hebrew guy, a servant to the captain of the guard, was there with us. We told him our dreams, and he totally interpreted them for us. And it came true, just like he said. I got my job back, and the baker, well, he got hanged." So Pharaoh was like, "OMG, bring me that guy." They hurried and got Joseph out of the dungeon. He shaved, changed his clothes, and was brought to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was all, "So I had this dream, and no one can explain it. But I've heard that you can totally interpret dreams." And Joseph was like, "Well, it's not really me, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he needs for peace." So Pharaoh told Joseph, "In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the river, and these 7 super fat cows came out of the river and started grazing. But then 7 really scrawny, gross cows came out after them, like the worst I've ever seen in Egypt. And the skinny cows totally ate up the fat ones. But even after they ate them, they still looked gross and skinny. Nothing had happened. That's when I woke up. Then I had another dream. There were 7 full, good ears of corn on one stalk. But then 7 shriveled, thin ears of corn grew up after them. And the thin ears ate up the good ones. I told all this to the magicians, but none of them could tell me what it means." Joseph was like, "Pharaoh, both dreams mean the same thing. God is showing you what he's about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years. And the 7 good ears of corn are 7 years too. Same dream, same meaning. And the 7 thin, ugly cows that came after are 7 years too, but they represent famine. And so do the 7 shriveled ears. God is basically telling you what's going to happen. There's going to be 7 years of amazing abundance in Egypt. But after that, there'll be 7 years of horrible famine, and people will totally forget about all the good years because the famine will be that bad. The famine will be super severe, and the good years won't even matter anymore. And the fact that you had the dream twice means that God has totally decided this, and it's going to happen soon." Then Joseph was all, "So Pharaoh should pick a smart, wise guy and put him in charge of Egypt. He should appoint officers to collect 1/5 of the produce during the 7 good years, and store it all up in the cities under Pharaoh's control for when the 7 bad years come. This way, the food will be ready, and Egypt won't starve during the famine." Pharaoh and all his people were, "OMG, that sounds like a great idea." Pharaoh was all, "Can we find anyone as awesome as this guy who clearly has the Spirit of God in him?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there's no one as smart and wise as you. You'll be in charge of my whole house, and everyone will follow your orders. Only I, as Pharaoh, will outrank you." And Pharaoh was like, "Look, I'm putting you in charge of all of Egypt." He took off his royal ring and put it on Joseph's hand, dressed him in fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. Pharaoh had Joseph ride in his 2nd chariot, and everyone shouted, "Bow down," as he rolled through. He was totally made ruler of all of Egypt. Pharaoh said, "I'm Pharaoh, but without you, Joseph, no one in Egypt can do anything." Pharaoh gave Joseph a new name, Zaphnath-Paneah, and gave him Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, to be his wife. So Joseph went out and ruled over Egypt. He was 30 years old when he started working for Pharaoh, and he traveled all over Egypt. During the 7 good years, the land produced a ton of food. Joseph collected all the food and stored it in cities. Everything from the fields nearby was stored there. Joseph stored so much grain that it was as much as the sand on the seashore, too much to even count. During those good years, Joseph and Asenath had 2 sons. He named the first one Manasseh, because God made him forget all his troubles and his family drama. The second one was named Ephraim, because God made him super successful in a tough place. Then the 7 good years ended, and the 7 years of famine began, just like Joseph said. But there was still food in Egypt, thanks to him. When the famine hit Egypt, people were starving and begged Pharaoh for food. He was all, "Go talk to Joseph. Do whatever he says." The famine was everywhere, but Joseph opened up the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians. The famine was so bad throughout the land, and people from all over the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was totally crushing everywhere. Genesis chapter 42. So when Jacob heard there was corn in Egypt, he was all, "Why are you guys just sitting around staring at each other?" And he was like, "I've heard there's food in Egypt, duh. Go down there and buy some so we can live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to Egypt to buy corn. But Jacob didn't send Benjamin, Joseph's little brother, cause he was all, "OMG, something bad might happen to him." So the sons of Israel went with everyone else to buy food, cause the famine was so bad in Canaan. Meanwhile, Joseph was the boss of all Egypt and was in charge of selling food. When his brothers showed up, they totally bowed down to him, faces to the ground and everything. Joseph totally recognized them but acted all mysterious and spoke harshly to them, saying, "Where are you guys from?" And they were all, from Canaan to buy food. Joseph knew it was them, but they didn't know who he was. Then Joseph was all, "OMG, I remember my dreams." And he said to them, "You're totally spies. You've come to see the weakness of the land." But they were like, "No way, my lord. We just came to buy food, we swear. We're all brothers from the same family. We're honest guys, not spies." And Joseph was like, "Nope, you're here to spy on us." But they were like, "We're 12 brothers, all sons of the same dad in Canaan. The youngest is still with our dad, and, one of us is gone." Joseph was like, "Ha! This is exactly what I said. You're spies. I'm totally testing you now. By the life of Pharaoh, you won't leave here unless your youngest brother comes here. One of you has to go get him, while the rest of you stay in jail, so we can see if you're telling the truth. Otherwise, yeah, you're totally spies." Then he threw them all in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph was like, "Okay, here's what you have to do to live, 'cause I respect God. If you're really honest guys, one of you will stay here in jail, while the rest of you go take corn back for your families. But you have to bring your youngest brother back here. That'll prove you're telling the truth, and you won't die." And they agreed. Then they started whispering to each other, "OMG, we're totally guilty about what we did to Joseph. We saw how freaked out he was, but we totally ignored him. That's why all this bad stuff is happening to us." And Reuben was all, "Didn't I tell you guys not to hurt the kid? But no, you wouldn't listen, and now his blood is on us." They didn't know Joseph could understand them, cause he was using an interpreter the whole time. Then Joseph turned away and cried a little, but he came back and picked Simeon and tied him up right in front of them. Then Joseph ordered his workers to fill their bags with corn, put their money back in their sacks, and give them food for the journey. So they did that. The brothers loaded the corn onto their donkeys and left. At one point, one of them opened his sack to give his donkey some food at the inn, and OMG, he found his money right there at the top of the sack. He was like, "You guys, my money's been returned. It's right here in my bag." And they all freaked out, asking, "What is God doing to us?" When they got back to their dad, Jacob, in Canaan, they told him everything that had happened. They were like, "That man who's in charge of Egypt spoke so harshly to us, and he totally thought we were spies." But we were like, "No, we're honest guys, we're not spies." We told him we're 12 brothers, sons of the same dad. One is gone, and the youngest is still with dad in Canaan. But the man, the lord of the country, said, "This is how I'll know you're telling the truth. Leave one of your brothers here with me, take food for your families, and then come back with your youngest brother. If you do that, he'll know we're not spies, and he'll give us back our brother, and we can trade here again." But then, when they were emptying their sacks, OMG, each of them found their money bundles in their sacks. And when they and their dad saw it, they were so scared. Jacob was like, "You guys have taken away all my children. Joseph is gone, Simeon is gone, and now you want to take Benjamin too? Ugh, everything is against me." Then Reuben was like, "Dad, you can totally kill my 2 sons if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. Just trust me with him, and I'll bring him back." But Jacob was like, "No way. Benjamin's not going with you. His brother's dead, and he's all I've got left. If something happens to him on the way, I'll be totally heartbroken and miserable for the rest of my life." Genesis chapter 43. So the famine was still super bad in the land. And when they totally ate all the corn they got from Egypt, their dad was like, "OMG, go back and buy us a little more food." But Judah was like, Dad, the guy in Egypt was totally serious when he said, "You won't see me again unless your brother comes with you. So if you send our bro with us, we'll go buy food. But if not, we can't go." The man said, "No brother, no food." And Israel was all like, "Why did you even tell him you had a brother in the first place?" Ugh. And they were like, "Dad, the guy was asking so many questions about us and our family. Is your dad still alive? And do you have another brother? How could we know he'd be all? Bring him down here." So Judah was like, "Look, Dad, just send the kid with me and we'll go, okay? That way we'll live and not die, all of us, you and the little ones too. I'll totally be responsible for him. If anything happens, blame me forever." Seriously, if we hadn't waited so long, we'd already be back by now. So their dad Israel was like, "Ugh, fine, if it has to be this way. Here's what you do. Take some of the best stuff from our land, like a little balm, honey, spices, myrrh, nuts, and almonds, and give it as a present to the man. And take double the money, and bring back the money that was in your sacks last time. Maybe it was a mistake or something. Oh, and take your brother with you, and just go see the man again. May God Almighty give you favor with him, so he'll let your other brother and Benjamin go. And if I lose my kids, whatever, I lose them." So the brothers grabbed the present, took the double money and Benjamin, and headed down to Egypt to see Joseph. When Joseph saw them and Benjamin, he was all, "Oh my gosh, bring these guys to my house and prepare a feast. They're having lunch with me at noon." So Joseph's servant did what he was told and brought them to his house. The brothers were totally freaked out, thinking, "OMG, we're here because of the money that was in our sacks the first time. He's gonna attack us, take us as slaves, and steal our donkeys too." So they went up to Joseph's steward at the house and were like, "Excuse us, sir? We came here before to buy food. And when we got to the inn, we opened our sacks, and OMG, all of our money was there. Like full amount. So we brought it back, see? And we brought more money to buy food, we swear. We don't know how the money ended up in our sacks." But the steward was all, "Chill guys, it's fine. Your God, and the God of your father, must have given you a treasure in your sacks. I totally got your payment. Oh, and here's your brother Simeon." Then he brought them inside, gave them water to wash their feet, and took care of their donkeys. They prepped the present for Joseph, cause they heard they were having lunch with him. When Joseph came home, they brought him the present and bowed down to him, totally respectful. He was like, "How's your dad, the old man you told me about? Is he still alive?" And they were like, "Yep, your servant, our dad, is totally alive and well." And they bowed again. Then Joseph looked at Benjamin, his own mom's son, and was like, "OMG, is this your little brother you told me about?" And he said, "May God be gracious to you, my son." But Joseph had to leave the room, cause he was super emotional about seeing Benjamin, and he was about to cry. So he went into his private room and totally cried. After he washed his face, he came back, kept his cool, and was like, "Okay, let's eat." They set the table for Joseph by himself, his brothers by themselves, and the Egyptians separately. Cause Egyptians so don't eat with Hebrews. That's just a thing. So they all sat according to age, from the oldest to the youngest, and the brothers were totally surprised by it. Then Joseph gave out portions of food, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times bigger than anyone else's. They all ate and drank together, and had a really good time. Genesis chapter 44. So Joseph was all, "Tell the steward, fill their sacks with as much food as they can, and put the money back in their sacks." And he's like, "Oh, and put my silver cup in the youngest sack. Oh, and his corn money too." So the steward totally did what Joseph said. In the morning, they all left with their donkeys. But as soon as they left the city, Joseph was all, chase after them and say, like, "Why did you do this? You've been totally evil after we were so nice. Isn't this the cup my master drinks from? The one he uses to divine stuff. OMG, you've done a terrible thing." So the steward caught up with them and said exactly that. But they were all, "OMG, why would you even say that? We would never do that. We even brought back the money we found in our sacks from Canaan. Why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? Whoever has the cup, let him die, and the rest of us will totally be your slaves." The steward was like, "Yeah, sure, but let's just say whoever has the cup will be my slave, and the rest of you can go free." So they all hurried and opened their sacks, and the steward started searching from the oldest to the youngest. And OMG, they found the cup in Benjamin's sack. They were totally freaking out. They ripped their clothes, loaded their donkeys, and went back to the city. When they got to Joseph's house, they all fell on the ground in front of him. And Joseph was all, "What have you done? Don't you know I can totally figure stuff out?" Judah was like, "What can we even say? How can we defend ourselves? God has found out our guilt. We're your slaves now, all of us, even the one with the cup." But Joseph was like, "No way. Only the one with the cup will be my slave. The rest of you go back to your dad in peace." Then Judah stepped up and was like, "OMG, please let me say something. Don't be mad. You're super important like Pharaoh. You asked us, do you have a dad or a brother? And we were like, yeah, we have an old dad and a little brother. Our dad totally loves him because he's the only one left from our mom. Then you said, bring him down so I can see him. And we were like, no way, our little bro can't leave dad or he'll die. But you were all, unless your youngest brother comes, you're not seeing me again. So we went back to dad and told him everything you said. Then dad was like, go buy more food. But we were like, we can't go unless our little bro comes with us, or we won't see the man. And dad was like, you know, my wife only had 2 sons. One is totally gone. He's probably torn to pieces. I haven't seen him since. If you take this one and something bad happens, I'll be totally heartbroken. So if we go back to dad without our little bro, and he's totally connected to him, dad will die when he sees our little bro isn't with us. We'll have broken his heart. I promised dad I'd totally take care of him, and if I didn't, I'd be to blame forever. So please, let me stay as your slave instead of my little bro, and let him go back with his brothers. I just can't go back to dad without him. It would totally destroy him, and I can't bear to see that happen. Genesis chapter 45. So Joseph totally couldn't hold it in anymore in front of everyone, and he was all, OMG, everybody get out! And when everyone was gone, he totally revealed himself to his brothers. And he started crying super loudly, so much that even Pharaoh's house could hear it. Then Joseph was all, I'm Joseph. Is dad still alive? But his brothers were so shook they couldn't even speak. Joseph was like, hey, come closer. And when they did, he was like, I'm your brother Joseph, the one you totally sold into Egypt. But don't be all mad at yourselves for selling me because God sent me here to save lives. It's been 2 years of famine already, and there's 5 more years where there won't be any planting or harvesting. God sent me ahead of you to make sure our family survives and to give you this huge rescue. So it wasn't even you who sent me here, it was God. And now I'm in charge of Pharaoh's house and all of Egypt. Hurry up, go tell dad. Joseph says, God made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down here and don't wait. You'll live in Goshen and be so close to me. You, your kids, your grandkids, your flocks, and all your stuff. I'll take care of you because there's still 5 more years of famine, and I don't want you and your family to be poor. Look, you guys can see with your own eyes, and Benjamin too. It's really me talking to you. Go tell Dad about all the cool stuff I've got going on in Egypt and everything you've seen. Hurry up and bring him here." Then Joseph hugged Benjamin and Benjamin cried too. And Joseph kissed all his brothers and cried with them. And after that, they finally started talking to him. When Pharaoh's house heard that Joseph's brothers were here, they were totally pleased. And Pharaoh told Joseph, "Tell your brothers to do this. Load up your stuff, head back to Canaan, and bring your dad and everyone back here. I'll give you the best of Egypt, and you'll eat the finest food. This is an official command. Take wagons from Egypt for your little ones and wives, and bring your dad back. And don't even worry about your stuff, because the best of Egypt is totally yours." So Joseph's brothers did what they were told. Joseph gave them wagons, as Pharaoh had said, and also tons of food for the journey. He gave each of them new clothes, but for Benjamin, he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 sets of clothes. And for his dad, Joseph sent 10 donkeys loaded with the best goods from Egypt, and 10 more with corn, bread, and meat for the trip. He sent his brothers off and said, "Don't fight on the way, okay?" So they left Egypt and went back to Canaan to tell their dad Jacob. And they were all, "Dad, Joseph is still alive, and he's the ruler of all Egypt." But Jacob couldn't believe it. It was too much for him. Then they told him everything Joseph had said, and when Jacob saw the wagons Joseph had sent, his spirit totally came back to life. And Israel was like, "OMG, it's true. My son Joseph is still alive. I have to go see him before I die." Genesis chapter 46. So Israel, aka Jacob, packed up all his stuff and totally headed to Beersheba, where he offered sacrifices to the God of his dad, Isaac. And OMG, that night God was like, "Jacob, Jacob." And Jacob was like, "Here I am." Then God was all, "I'm the God of your dad. Don't freak out about going down to Egypt. I'm going to make you a huge nation there." God was like, "I'm going to go with you to Egypt, and I'll bring you back up again. And by the way, Joseph will totally be with you when you die." So Jacob got up, and his sons carried him, their kids, and their wives in the wagons Pharaoh sent. How cool, right? They took all their cattle and their stuff from Canaan, and the whole fam moved to Egypt, Jacob and everyone. His sons, grandkids, daughters, basically the whole family came along. It was a big trip. Okay, now for the roll call. Jacob's firstborn was Reuben. Reuben's kids? Hanok, Phalu, Hezron, and Carmi. Simeon's kids? Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, whose mom was a Canaanite, by the way. Levi's got Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Judah's sons? Er, Onan, Shelah, Pharez, and Zerah, but Er and Onan totally died in Canaan. Pharez's kids were Hezron and Hamel. Issachar had Tola, Phuvah, Job, and Shimron. Zebulun's kids were Sered, Elon, and Yaliel. These were the kids Leah had with Jacob in Padanaram. With Dinah, they had 33 people in total. Gad's kids? Ziphion, Haggi, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Arodi, and Areli. Asher's squad included Jimnah, Ishwa, Ijui, Beriah, and their sister Sarah. Beriah's sons were Heber and Malkiel. These were Zilpah's kids, she was Leah's maid. Altogether, there were 16 people. Now Rachel had Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph's sons, born in Egypt, were Manasseh and Ephraim, thanks to Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, a priest of On. Benjamin's kids were Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ahi, Rosh, Muppim, Huppim, and Ard. Rachel's total count? 14 souls. Dan's only son was Husham. Naphtali had Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shillem. These were Bilhah's kids, Rachel's maid, 7 in total. All in all, 66 people came with Jacob to Egypt, not counting his sons' wives, Joseph's 2 kids were already in Egypt, so the total house of Jacob was 70 people. Judah went ahead of them to meet Joseph and figure out where they were headed in Goshen. Joseph got his chariot ready and zoomed over to Goshen to meet his dad. He hugged Jacob and cried like a lot. Israel Jacob was like, "OMG, now I can die in peace since I've seen you, and you're still alive." Joseph was like, "I'm gonna go tell Pharaoh that you guys, my fam from Canaan, are all here with me now." By the way, you guys are shepherds, and that's what you've always done, so you've brought your flocks and herds and everything you own. When Pharaoh asks what your job is, just tell him you're shepherds, since Egyptians think shepherds are gross, and that way you'll get to stay in Goshen. So yeah, just say that you and your fam have always worked with cattle, and it'll be totally cool. Genesis chapter 47. So Joseph goes to Pharaoh and is all, "Hey dude, my dad, my bros, and their flocks, herds, all their stuff just rolled in from Canaan, and now they're hanging out in Goshen, bro." Then Joseph grabs 5 of his bros and introduces them to Pharaoh. "Sup, here are my dudes." Pharaoh's like, "So, what's your job, dudes?" And they're all, "We're totally shepherds us, and our dads have been doing this forever." Then they add, "We came here to stay for a while, 'cause there's no grass back in Canaan. So, can we crash in Goshen, pretty please?" Pharaoh's all, "Totally cool, Joseph, your crew's here, bro." Then Pharaoh's like, "Dude, the whole land of Egypt is yours. Let your fam live in the best part, Goshen. And if you've got any solid guys, put them in charge of my cattle too, man." So Joseph brings in his dad, Jacob, and Jacob totally blesses Pharaoh. "Bless up, dude." Pharaoh's all, "Bro, how old are you?" And Jacob's like, "I'm 130 years old, dude. My life's been kinda gnarly and rough, not as long as my ancestors though." Then Jacob blesses Pharaoh again, "Catch you later, man," and leaves. So Joseph made sure his dad and bros got the raddest spot in Egypt, just like Pharaoh said. They were living large in Ramesses, dude. And Joseph kept his pops, bros, and everyone in the fam totally stocked with bread. Like no one went hungry. Meanwhile, the famine was super gnarly, dude. No food anywhere. Egypt and Canaan were wiped out, starving hard. Joseph scooped up all the dough from people buying corn, and he brought it straight to Pharaoh's stash. But eventually the money ran out, and the Egyptians were like, "Bro, give us bread or we're totally gonna die here." Joseph's all, "Chill, dudes. Just give me your cattle, and I'll hook you up with bread since you're out of cash." So they handed over their horses and flocks, and Joseph kept them fed for a whole year. But when that year was up, they came back and were like, "Dude, we're out of money and you've got all our cattle. All that's left is us and our land, bro." They begged, "Buy us and our land for food, bro, so we can stay alive and not starve. And toss us some seeds too." So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh, since everyone had to sell their fields because of the famine. So the land was Pharaoh's now, man. Joseph even moved the people to cities from one end of Egypt to the other, totally reorganizing things, bro. But he didn't mess with the priests' land, 'cause Pharaoh had them set up with food already, so they were all good. Then Joseph's like, "Yo dudes, I bought you and your land for Pharaoh. Here's some seeds, now go plant it up." And he's all, "When you harvest, give Pharaoh 1/5 of it, and you keep the rest for yourselves, your kids, and for more seeds, bro." They were like, "Righteous, bro. You totally saved our lives. We're down to be Pharaoh's servants, no problem." So that's how Joseph made it a rule that Pharaoh gets 1/5 of everything in Egypt, except from the priests, who were already sorted. Meanwhile, Israel and his whole squad were living the dream in Goshen. They had mad possessions and were multiplying like crazy, dude. Jacob lived in Egypt for another 17 years, making him 147 when he was ready to pass on, bro. When Jacob knew his time was almost up, he called Joseph and said, "Bro, if you care about me, don't bury me in Egypt, okay? When I'm gone, take me back to our ancestors' burial spot," Jacob said. And Joseph's like, "Totally, Dad, I'll do it." But Jacob's like, "Swear it, bro." So Joseph swore, and Jacob bowed on his bed, totally stoked. Genesis chapter 48. So after all this stuff went down, someone was all, "Yo, Joseph, your dad's super sick." So Joseph grabs his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they head out. Then someone else tells Jacob, "Hey, your son Joseph's here, bro." So Jacob totally powers up and sits up on his bed. Jacob's like, "So God Almighty totally appeared to me at Luz in Canaan and gave me this major blessing, dude." He's like, "God said he'd make me super fruitful and turn my fam into a big nation, and he's gonna give this land to my kids as an everlasting hookup." Then Jacob's all, "So your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, The ones born in Egypt before I got here, they're totally mine now. Just like Reuben and Simeon, they're in my crew. But any kids you have after them, they'll be yours, but they'll still be part of their brother's inheritance, bro. Then he gets all sentimental. When I was coming back from Paden, your mom, Rachel, she totally died on the way in Canaan, not too far from Ephrath, Bethlehem. I buried her there. Jacob looks at Joseph's sons and is like, "Wait, who are these little dudes?" And Joseph's like, "These are my sons that God gave me here in Egypt, Dad." Jacob's like, "Bring them here, bro, I want to bless them." Israel, Jacob, was super old and couldn't really see anymore. But Joseph brings the kids close, and Jacob kisses and hugs them, all emotional and stuff. Then Jacob's like, "I never thought I'd see your face again, dude, and now God has even let me see your kids too." Like mind blown. So Joseph pulls his kids from Jacob's lap and bows down to the ground, totally respectful. Then Joseph takes Ephraim in his right hand, toward Jacob's left, and Manasseh in his left hand, toward Jacob's right, and brings them closer to his dad. But Jacob crosses his hands, putting his right hand on Ephraim, the younger, and his left on Manasseh, the older. Totally doing it on purpose, even though Manasseh was the firstborn. Then Jacob blesses Joseph and says, "God, who my fathers Abraham and Isaac cruised with, the same God who's taken care of me all my life, bless these kids, bro. The angel who saved me from all evil, let him bless these boys. Let them carry my name and the names of Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a huge tribe on the earth, man." Joseph sees his dad putting his right hand on Ephraim, and is, "Whoa, dude, not like that." So he tries to switch his dad's hands back, thinking Manasseh should get the right hand blessing. Joseph's like, "No, Dad, this guy's the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head, dude." But Jacob's like, "Chill, bro, I got this. I know Manasseh will be a big deal, but trust me, Ephraim's gonna be even greater, and his descendants will be a ton of nations." So Jacob blesses them that day, saying, "In you, Israel will bless, saying, God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." And he made sure Ephraim got the lead spot over Manasseh. Then Israel's like, "Joseph, I'm gonna die soon, but don't worry, God's gonna be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. Oh, and by the way, I'm giving you one extra portion of land, which I won with my sword and bow from the Amorites. So bonus land for you, bro." Genesis chapter 49. So Jacob calls his sons and is all, "Hey, everyone gather round, 'cause I'm about to tell you what's gonna go down in the future. Listen up, sons of Jacob, pay attention to your dad Israel, alright? Reuben, you're my firstborn, dude, my strength, the beginning of my power, all dignified and strong. But you're totally unstable as water, bro. You won't excel, 'cause you totally defiled my bed. Major uncool. Simeon and Levi, you guys are bros, but whoa, your cruelty is way too much, man. I don't want to be part of your secret plans, 'cause in your rage, you totally killed people and demolished stuff on a whim. Your anger is cursed, dudes, 'cause it's super fierce and cruel. So, I'm gonna scatter you across Israel. Judah, you're the one your bros are gonna praise. You'll have your hand on the neck of your enemies, and your father's kids will bow to you. Judah's like a total lion cub. You've come back from the prey, and you chill like a lion. Who's gonna mess with you, bro? The scepter won't leave Judah, nor the ruler's staff, until Shiloh comes, and the people will gather around him. He'll tie his donkey to a vine, and wash his clothes in wine, dude. His outfits are gonna be dripping in grape juice. His eyes will be red from wine, and his teeth super white from milk. Totally intense. Zebulun's gonna live by the sea, and be a safe harbor for ships, with borders reaching to Sidon. Pretty rad, right? Issachar is like a strong donkey chilling between two loads, bro. He saw that rest was good, and that the land was awesome, so he bent down to work and became a servant. Laid back but hardworking. Dan is gonna judge his people like one of the tribes of Israel. He's got that leadership thing going on. Dan's like a sneaky snake on the path, biting the heels of horses so their riders fall off. Gnarly, right? I'm totally waiting for your salvation, O Lord. Gad is gonna get attacked by a troop, but don't worry, he's gonna overcome them in the end. Righteous. Asher's food is gonna be fancy, man. He's gonna supply royal treats. Yum. Naphtali is like a free deer, all graceful and stuff, speaking beautiful words. So poetic. Joseph is a fruitful tree by a well, dude. His branches totally spread out. The archers shot at him and hated on him big time. But his bow stayed strong, and his arms got strength from the mighty God of Jacob, the shepherd, the rock of Israel, no doubt. God of your fathers got your back, Joseph. He's gonna bless you with all the heaven and the deep below, and like all the babies and blessings, man. The blessings from your dad are way beyond what my ancestors had to the highest mountains. They're totally gonna be on your head, Joseph, the one who was separate from his brothers. Benjamin's gonna be like a wolf, dude. In the morning, he devours his prey, and by night, he's dividing up the loot. Savage. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their dad said to them, blessing each one with their specific blessings. Righteous. Then Jacob was like, I'm gonna be gathered to my people soon. So bury me with my ancestors in the cave that's in the field of Ephron the Hittite. You know that cave in Machpelah near Mamre in Canaan, the one Abraham bought as a burial site from Ephron the Hittite. That's where they buried Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and where I buried Leah. Family vibes. The land and the cave were bought from the children of Heth, remember that. And after Jacob gave all these instructions to his sons, he gathered his feet up into the bed, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. Total peace out. Genesis chapter 50. So Joseph totally fell on his dad's face, crying, and kissed him, super emotional, you know? Then Joseph was like, yo, my servants get the docks to embalm my dad. And so they did, they embalmed Israel. It took 40 days to do that, because that's how long it takes to embalm someone. And all of Egypt mourned him for 70 days. So intense, right? When the mourning days were over, Joseph was like, hey, could you guys ask Pharaoh if I can go bury my dad in Canaan? He made me promise. My dad was all, yo, I'm dying, so you need to bury me in the grave I dug in Canaan. So can I go and do that? I'll be back, I swear. And Pharaoh was totally chill, saying, yeah, go bury your dad like you promised. No worries, bro. So, Joseph heads up to bury his dad, and all of Pharaoh's servants, the elders, and all the important people of Egypt went with him. It was a big deal. Joseph's whole family went too, his bros, his dad's whole house, except for the little ones and the flocks and herds. They stayed back in Goshen. There were also chariots and horsemen, a huge crew. It was a massive procession, totally major. When they got to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, they mourned super hard for like 7 days straight. It was heavy stuff. The locals, the Canaanites, were all, whoa, this is some serious mourning by the Egyptians. So they called the place Abel Mizraim, which means mourning of Egypt, beyond Jordan. Joseph's bros did exactly what their dad had asked them to do, totally following orders. They carried Jacob's body to Canaan and buried him in the cave in the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought from Ephron the Hittite near Mamre. Super OG family burial spot. After burying their dad, Joseph and his bros and everyone else went back to Egypt. But Joseph's bros were like, oh no, what if Joseph is still mad at us? He might get revenge for what we did to him. So they sent a messenger to Joseph, all, hey, remember, Dad told us to tell you before he died. Please forgive your bros for the wrong they did to you. And when Joseph heard this, he cried. So emotional, bro. Then his bros came and bowed down to him, and were like, we're totally your servants now, Joseph. But Joseph was like, chill, don't be scared. Am I in God's place or something? You guys meant to do me wrong, but God totally flipped it for good, to save tons of lives, dude. So don't freak out. I'm gonna take care of you and your little ones. It's all good. And Joseph comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Major good vibes. So Joseph stayed in Egypt with his whole fam, and he lived to be 110 years old. Total longevity. He even got to see Ephraim's kids, the third generation, and Manasseh's grandkids were hanging out on his knees. So cute, right? Then Joseph told his bros, I'm gonna die soon, but don't worry, God's gonna visit you guys and take you out of this place, back to the land he promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Joseph made them promise, when God comes for you, Make sure you take my bones out of here too, okay? So Joseph died at 110 years old. They embalmed him and put him in a coffin in Egypt. End of an era, dude.